have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down, feed off.
Bring in, let's feed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. Give me some 5x5s in chat because unexpectedly, SpaceX is keeping us busy today. It looks like we've got a little bit of daylight. I can actually say daylight this time. Underneath Ship 20, it has been raised by the Chopsticks, undoing the full stack. So if you were with us last week, you saw Ship 20 get stacked on top of Booster 4 using the Chopsticks, or I guess by the Chopsticks, for the first time ever. And then Elon did his presentation. Members of the media and the local space fans were able to go and take selfies with it. And now here we are on Monday, not what, 3-4 days later, and they are now unstacking it. We had thought maybe there might be a cryo test or something like that, but those pixels underneath the bottom of Ship 20 make it look like this thing is coming down today. In fact, earlier they actually cleared the beach. Our photographer Nick Sweeney was out on the beach, and they cleared him off the beach, saying that they were looking at destacking operations today. Road closure matches that as well. Road's been closed for a little while now, but that daylight was what we were waiting for to say that they were in fact going to destack it. Now, it's not just the DOS show. John Galloway for NASASpaceflight, that's me. I've got some people hanging out with me, including Mr. Adrian Beale. Adrian, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and yeah, looking forward again to chopstick action. I love it.
That's what, I mean, right now we've got some chopstick action, that's for sure. And also, on some commentary for a little while, Mr. Chris Bergen. Chris.
Good afternoon. I did one Starbase live chat. Someone said it's a bit quiet today. I said it's Starbase, just you wait and see. So I said, I did say quote me on that, and I hope they are, because look what's happening now.
That's right. So, folks, again, if you're just joining us, I know the notifications have been going out. Look at the bottom of Ship 20. On the left-hand side there, you can see a little bit of daylight. It looks like the Chopsticks have picked up the ship, and we also earlier saw the transport stand for the ship roll over near the OLM, which sort of tipped us off that this may be happening today. But, Chris, Adrian, I'm going to toss it over to y'all. What do y'all think about this? Was this like just a temporary stack? Are you surprised to see no more testing?
Tell you what, I'll go first. Hang on, Adrian. I'm going to lead you into this because this will be a question for you with the end of this answer. I think that we are expecting extra testing. Let's remember the first time we saw this full stack was for a photo opportunity and for fit checks. This is completely different. This is the next level along. So people are going to get upset about the D-stack, but on the positive side is it's been stacked for much longer than the hour than last time. And also, I think this, and this is where Adrian comes in, this will allow them to do a proper test of Booster 4, especially now methane is in the area. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm interested what's next for this, but because the destacking, definitely in combination with the methane now at the old orbital tank farm, brings up some interesting questions. What's next here? So, I mean, it obviously confirms that whatever they wanted to do with this full stack is for now done, but the question for me is that is really interesting right now, I feel, is if will the boosters stay on the orbital launch mount after the ship is removed? Because with methane now present, we are moving into very interesting areas here for this whole pad.
So, because I hope that we do at the very least, see a static fire test at some point with the booster. I think that's a long way off. I think they've got to do some more cryoproofing tests. And obviously they need to test things like the tank farm via those tests. So this is something with the methane arriving yesterday, that got me more interested in maybe a static fire test, because I thought, well, that's the key. Now we've seen those first deliveries, that means business. So I'm hoping that this D-stack will just take Ship 20 out of the equation, and that just releases them to move on to the next phase of testing, which is with Booster 4. Again, and Elon didn't clarify anything in the presentation he did the other day. We don't think, there's no claim here, there's no statement, but we don't think Booster 4 and Ship 20 are the ones going to do the orbital flight test. We think that'll be further along the line, and I think that all fits with what Elon was saying. He was kind of saying we've got lots of vehicles, at least 2 months. That allows them to move on to the next vehicle if it comes to it. But I think there's a lot of ground testing purpose that can be used here with Booster 4 and Ship 20 indeed, where they can do probably up to a static fire test. That's what I hope as well. We'll wait and see. If they take the booster off the orbital launch mount, that's when we start questioning, well, are they going to really just focus on Booster 7?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's the big thing is will the booster stay? And I feel like this kind of was not expected, but like you had some people that maybe expecting the ship to be removed again, and it was just for the presentation and main focus, and also to test the chopsticks, which so far, yeah, it did really well. Like the whole chopstick on Mechazilla system so far is, I would say, performing quite well. So let's hope today proves another time where they perform perfectly. Talking about jinxing there, by the way.
Well, no, you know what? I think a lot of people take sound bites to heart quite a lot. Elon likes doing his 2 weeks thing. That's become a meme almost. A meme. I like saying meme. It's a meme. I know, but I'm so used to saying meme.
Just say meme.
I know. I just do it on purpose now, just to get chat going. But anyways, it's kind of like something where you've got to appreciate that there's baby steps along the way here. This is not going to happen within weeks, as the timelines tend to get tweeted out. This will take time. This will really kind of like be a situation where SpaceX is looking to achieve things for the first time ever with the largest vehicle ever made, the most powerful rocket ever made, and you can't expect miracles. It's going to be something where they're going to have to get every step of the way right before they test this thing, and then they may still lose the vehicle. But again, when SpaceX loses a vehicle, they have another one down the road. It's called fast iteration, where they can really fly, test, fail, fix, and it's worked for them. Go on, Adrian.
Can I interrupt you? The claw is slowly retracting.
Oh right, yeah.
You can see it at the bottom.
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
If you AB, you can see that the lower arms, which grab the booster below the grid fins, are retracting. So they are removing the claw now.
This is the good thing about these things is you start going off on an answer. And especially if it's me, I'll be like 5 minutes into it, and then something will happen. So you have to interrupt me. But the point here is that when we first heard about the stack, we assumed that could be a multi-hour process, and we expected it to be a multi-hour process because it was a first-time operation using a very complex bit of hardware. And they did it in an hour. And it went smoothly. It was brilliant. So this will be probably even faster because they've now
That was
got...
That was going up, right? Like
yes.
On the way up, it took them.
Exactly.
They went so fast. Now they're going down. Gravity's going to help them. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to make that point, but I was going to say they've done it. They've now got a full range of operation with the ship weight on the arms. They know what to expect from it. They could have had a lot of unexpected problems during the actual stacking, but it went so smoothly. I expect a D-stack to go even smoother. So that's something where it's another win. I'm not being a SpaceX fanboy here. It's hard not to be positive about what's happening because it's amazing what we're watching, what we're witnessing for the first time ever in the history of rocket flight, where we're seeing these fully reusable vehicles being prepared for a flight that probably will happen this year. So it's exciting. Can I just quickly thank? We've got a new Red Team member, Ernie. I just want to quickly thank you for that because the support is what allows us to do what we do. So it's very important that we know our appreciation, which is always there for everybody who's in chat, who likes the stream or whatever. It all helps us, and when people help you, it helps us provide you more coverage, which benefits you. So it's a nice little circular thing. And Musical Wolves with his Starship Valentine's Cookie Fund. I don't know if that's cookie and Valentine things is a thing, but there you go.
I was actually going to ask if you had everything you needed with the question queue and stuff like that. So we'll be answering questions. Y'all tag us in chat at NASASpaceflight. But Chris and Adrian, y'all are sorted to take some questions, aren't you?
Yes, Adrian.
Yes.
If you've got the question chat stream in front of you, then by all means throw some questions in the thing, and I'll give some answers as well.
And really quickly, I was going to point out everything in balance here today, because while we are getting the full stack destacked, this morning we saw the nose cone roll around in the high bay and new ship parts, and we have almost got, it's like the same amount of clearance between the two ships, one between ship 20 and the booster. The other one, that bit of a Franken ship that's happening in the high bay right now, that nose cone section was just stacked onto the aft end of a new Starship, but I'm not sure what we're supposed to call that Starship in the high bay right now, because it's a little confusing which components those are getting stacked on each other, isn't it?
I've decided to call it Frankenship because it's a nice little play on the old crane had there with different parts from different cranes that made up the height of the thing. So Frankenship kind of works for me. I daren't really kind of like use that in an article or anything like that because people go, "Oh, unless I've giving names to things again."
Oh, jeez.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's Ship 22's body and Ship 21's nose cone. If they've done it in order, they can very easily take a label off and put a label back on and just call the whole thing Ship 21 or the whole thing Ship 22. It's not a problem. SpaceX will do what they're doing, but that's what we believe they've mated in the high bay today.
I'm going to leave that on, since they're about to do touchdown there in the high bay. I'm going to leave that on until we get the little bit more separation. We see some more movement on Ship 20 on the left-hand side. But again, if you're just joining us, left-hand side shows Ship 20. There is daylight, like light-colored pixels underneath the aft end of Ship 20 there, because it has been raised off the top of Booster 4 with the chopsticks. And on the right-hand side, we've got Frankenship. Sorry, Chris. In the high bay, that nose cone section, the forward section with the nose cone, was just placed on top, or is about to be placed on top. There's still a little bit of a gap there. So if you thought that Monday was going to be a slow day down at Starbase, well, it's Starbase. Like, it's not a slow day on a Monday here. So thank you all so much for joining us. And Chris and Adrian, I'm going to kick it back to you all so you can grab some questions.
Yeah, I have it open. Should I just start?
Go for it.
Yeah.
So, Robert G asks, will the movement of chopsticks get faster over time, or is this the max speed?
I think faster, don't you, Adrian? Because I think when you look at SpaceX's at least envisioning of what they assume would be a campaign for a booster and a ship, and remember that Elon was speaking in terms of hours for turnaround, so that's catch, lower, refuel, or even prepare it and then put it back on the stack and refuel. It's going to need a fast chopstick action. Again, I'm pausing as I'm saying that because the first ever operation of stacking was done within an hour. That stunned me because I thought that might take several hours at least, especially the first time. But I think they're capable of going faster. It's something we'll have to watch for the next few stacks, see if they do it. We can time it and see if they've improved on the time. But I think they're capable of going faster. Do they need to? That's the only question, really.
Yeah, with these liftings, I'm not sure if they will go faster, but I think they can go faster if they want to. But
that's a good answer.
Yeah, because they still lift like many meters high ship into the air. So while there's no hurry to do this faster right now. It's not like they would launch every hour in the next few years.
Yeah.
So why not go a bit slower, a bit more careful, add a bit more, like a few more checks, and make sure this thing is placed correctly. That's just my 2 cents.
It'd be a plot twist now if they just put it back on. Oh, just a little separation test, just because it's Valentine's Day. We could do some jokes on Twitter about separating them on Valentine's Day.
No.
How rude!
Don't go
I'm
there.
stealing that from Twitter, by the way. Someone replied to the live stream tweet with that. So credit where credit is due.
And hey, the next thing we're looking at, it looks like the lobster claw has completely separated. So now we also have daylight between the QD arm and the bottom of the ship and the top of the booster. So it's daylight all around there. We would expect for that arm to start swinging back. And I bet you we'll see that on our Mars. Yep, it is moving on Mars cam.
There we
Look
go.
at this. Yeah, go ahead.
So really, it's just a reverse operation. It really is. Just, as the most obvious thing you could come up with, it's a reverse operation of what they did for the full stack. So we know what to expect. We know that the claw will retract and get out of the way. We know that chopsticks will then rotate along the angle, and then they'll lower it. And onto the transport stand, which has moved there, I assume. So that would make sense. Everything's come together for this.
Next question.
Yes, far away.
What are these 4 towers? No.
Oh, no.
What are the 4 towers?
There are no
Hey,
4
tell you
towers.
what,
It's
I'll
only
tell you what,
one
Adrian.
tower.
Adrian, I can stop you there. The fun thing about Starbase is they don't have the lightning protection towers around the base of the pad. They're going to have a small tower. I don't think that's it. The little point thing we see on the top of there right now. I don't think that is it. We just know it's very small. But that is technically going to be a lightning protection for the whole stack. So it's a completely different routine. You know what? That pointy thing on top, that is small enough to be what we were told would be the lightning protection tower. It was told to be literally just like 20 meters high. And that is a very large tower. So the perspective of what we're looking at there could be it. But yeah, sorry, the 4 tower question always comes up in live streams. If people are new to our live streams, people always ask, what are those 4 towers for? Even though they know.
Yeah, but I have a tower question. So I have a relevant tower question here. So I guess I just asked in. Ferline asked, any guesses for when the 2nd tower will get built?
Yeah, I'm eagerly looking forward to that. We saw on the Elon presentation the CGI video he presented of humans traveling to Mars, to a city on Mars, in fact. And the launch sequence showed 2 towers at Starbase. Now, I think they want to get past the environmental assessment study first before they do anything else. They want to get that cleared, so that would allow them to then make the room for the next tower, which they'll build in short order because we saw how fast they built the first tower. I would like to see them pass that EA report and then start building it this year. That's what I'd like to see, and that means by the end of this year we'll have 2 towers there. The second thing is I'd mention is they're going to build a tower at 39A. They've already started on that now. They've restarted work at the 39A Starship pad. And then we might see 2 more towers at LC-49, providing a NASA assessment into that area goes to plan. We've seen Harry's satellite photographs. If you don't follow him on Twitter, I'll put a link in the chat. They've started clearing some area in the swamp area around there. I assume for the study, not for any building. That shows how fast along they are with that report, that they're looking into that LC-49 area, and we expect 2 towers there as well. So that's what, let's all count that together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential Starship towers between KSC and Starbase. And if that doesn't get you excited, nothing will.
Well, there may be more, actually, because during the presentation, Elon talked about building a tower on one of the offshore platforms.
Oh, of course, yes. Yes, Phobos and Deimos.
Yep.
I'm just putting Harry's Twitter into chat, because if you want satellite photographs, he's the guy to follow. He really is.
Yeah.
He has his finger in every satellite pie.
Every satellite pie. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Not the wording I would have chosen, but yeah.
It's the word that I always... Yeah. We're talking about me here, aren't we?
That arm continues to swing out. I have both angles. We've got sort of the east-west angle and the north-south angle there. But you know what I'm going to look for? You can see through the pulleys at the top. If you follow the cable that carries the chopsticks up and down the tower, you can see the spokes on those pulleys, and it's going to be really obvious when those pulleys start to move to show that Starship starts to go up or down. And I wonder if they don't have to pick it up a little bit more before they try to swing it over. I don't. It doesn't look like an awful lot of clearance there. There's like a couple little pixels. I don't know what that is. Do you think it's going to go higher first? Do y'all think it's going to start to swing?
I think it's got to go higher. I mean, they could swing it from there. They'll have clearances with their computers where they'll basically say, I've got exactly this many millimeters of clearance. That's enough. But visually, it's hard because it's such a large vehicle and such a large tower that the distances that may look small to us are quite large in reality. But I think they want to lift it a little bit more than that. I'm trying to go back to when they stacked it. It's hard because they lowered it straight down, so it wasn't like paused here at this point. But I would, if I was in control of Mechazilla right now, I'd say a little bit higher, please.
Yeah, I would think.
Am I still a robot, y'all? Adrian, Chris,
nope,
can y'all hear
you're
me
fine.
okay?
You're fine.
Okay, chat, let me know. I know chat was saying that they couldn't understand what I was saying, so I have tried to fix that. Sorry to interrupt there, y'all.
I think maybe that might be naive to say, but I think they will reverse the lift. So at this point, I would expect they go as high as they went when they lifted it. So that would be still a bit more.
Yeah.
And then just basically reverse the program they used to put it on top of it.
Yeah, of course, because what we're expecting is when they rotate it at the angle with the chopsticks, it'll be the same height as when they were stacking. So that's what we're going to look for. That would be higher. That would indeed be higher. Yeah. So I wonder what they're doing right now. They're just leaving it kind of separated by a small distance right now, and they're just removing the claw. I think we might see some raising action very shortly because the claw looks like it's out of the way now.
Yeah. Should I hit some super chats?
Yeah, I was going to say we need to thank people who are allowing us to do this because otherwise it'd be on my bank accounts, and trust me, my overdraft doesn't go that far.
So I'm googling a currency right now just to make sure. Yes, perfect. So we received 50 Australian dollar from Joffelx, is I guess the name, with no question attached. So thank you a lot.
That's great. That's just people saying thank you rather than even just using it to ask a question. Because that's just great support. Much appreciated.
Then we have Lars Larson who joined the red team. Thank you.
Benefits coming towards you. So sorry, I shouldn't interrupt you, but I am. Red team, you'll get preview clips, you'll get raw photographs from Mary and Nick, and all those good things. Carry on. Sorry.
Yes. Then we have Mark Mueller, who donated $20 with no question attached. Thank you.
Wow.
And then we have a question by James Van Hertens. Oh my god, sorry. When will the supplies and cargo mission launches begin to support Artemis? That comes with $499 attached.
You know what? I think there's two parts to this. I think SpaceX readiness, and I think the key thing will be Artemis's readiness. Let's remember they've got to launch Artemis 1, which we expect to be spring, early summer. That's being realistic because they're going to do a rollout, they're going to do some pad tests, they're going to roll back to the VAB. People don't assume that, but they are. They're going to roll back to the VAB and then prepare for flight. And that will depend on the launch windows they can gain and also the readiness of the vehicle. We know they're going to have problems with it. Again, let's give NASA and Boeing, I should say, the same respect we give SpaceX for delays. These things happen. They're complex vehicles. You will get problems, you will get delays. Once Artemis 1 launches, and provided it all goes well, remember it's got to go well, otherwise we're going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit, then we start looking at the first crewed flight with Artemis 2, and then you start looking at things like the Gateway and the Artemis and the HLS program. So I think SpaceX is not in any time constraint as far as preparations for that. I think the cargo element of Starship will first be tested with Starlink launches, which I think is basically Elon said, so it's not any revelation there. And I think that's when we'll start seeing cargo doors more. We're going to start seeing separation systems more because they'll push them out of the nose cone and then they'll separate like we see in Starlink launches. So I think it's a long road for that yet. I think the priority, and I think Elon has said this numerous times, the priority is to get Starship to orbital velocity and to test that, to achieve that. And then they can start thinking about things like cargo missions, then HLS, and the things such as the Polaris mission, where Jared's going to fly on the Starship, which is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I was about to tackle that because we get this question a lot right now, so I think it's a good time to tackle it. What are your thoughts on the new Polaris program?
I love it.
Yeah.
Everything about it sounds fantastic. We're getting some more comments from it now. It's something where we knew SpaceX wanted to do a lot more than just Dear Moon. And I say just Dear Moon. Dear Moon is going to be a fantastic mission in its own right. But this is something where it's Jared involved, who was a fantastic commander. I've always kind of like pulled a little bit of a face with private citizens going into space, especially because they're suborbital and then call themselves astronauts and things like that. It's just my background. It's just if it was offered to me, I'd do it. So Let's be clear about that. I would jump at the chance at a suborbital flight, no problem at all. But Jared took it to a new level. Inspiration 4 was not just a fantastic mission, in fact, in terms of fundraising for a very worthy cause, but also in respect to it being orbital, and not just orbital, but at the same near height as the Hubble servicing missions, which were the highest the shuttle could go. So it was an amazing mission. It went flawlessly, apart from the odd thing, I think, minor things. The whole safety of the vehicle was proven again because it was automated as well. So many achievements. I would fall over myself in listing, but it went so well. I'm just so glad Jared's still involved with this. And I think that explains quite a lot of his flybys of Starship recently. He's seen the vehicle he's going to fly on. Not this vehicle itself, but he's seen Starship up close and personal in the plane. It all fits together now. But I honestly, I've talked to enough commanders over the shuttle period. He's that guise of person. He's that focus of person. I've been so impressed with him. Really have been. And for me to be impressed with him won't mean anything to anybody, but I am. It really is great that he's deeply involved in this. And he'll do the Crew Dragon flights, the EVA test, and then Starship. It'll take years to achieve the latter, but it's something he's obviously now confirmed.
Yeah. Hey, really quick, I've got a question over from the Twitch channel, and I want to say thanks to somebody as well. Arbalest294 on my Twitch channel has been subbed to my Twitch stream for 77 months.
77. Wow.
77 months, over almost 6.5 years. Folks on the YouTube side, if you don't know, I started over on Twitch doing Kerbal space program streams, like how to get to orbit in Kerbal, and that's how I learned how to do all the streaming things that I do. But Arbalest294 over there has been a supporter of my Twitch channel for 77 months. I had to jump in real quick and say thank you, because that is an awful lot of months. Real quick and say thank you, because that is an awful.
If you heard some feedback there, that was just me logging on to your Twitch stream so I could link it in chat.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
that.
And then a question from over there as well, and this is actually a really good question from Journey Started. When the booster's not stacked and they have a massive downpour of rain, how do they remove the water from the top? Could it freeze and crack a seam?
I think with previous vehicles, we saw them having like small drains. At like openings at the bay, like where the upper bulkhead is. So it would rain onto the booster, but yeah, in some vehicles they were able to remove it, but other vehicles, that's also interesting, they had a small puddle of water on top of them for longer periods of time. So it's not totally unreasonable to see water on a booster.
I think with the South Texas environment, it's unlikely that volume of water would freeze significantly. And even if it did, it's not an enclosed space. The ice could expand upwards because the top of the booster is open. That's how the water got there in the first place. So I don't really think there's a freeze damage concern there. I imagine that the stainless steel materials maybe don't have they don't have a lot of problems with that. I'm sure they've taken care of electrical wiring or any sort of mechanism so that it doesn't get water on internal components where it shouldn't be. We know that water sits in the top of those boosters sometimes, and it's just, hey, we're not building this huge rocket in a clean... Well, we're not building this rocket at all. SpaceX isn't building this rocket in a clean room. They've sort of thought through some of those things.
Disclaimer, it's very good that NASASpaceflight is not building this rocket.
Yeah, exactly. You know, had to be
we
clear
might in
there.
Kerbal.
We should in Kerbal, actually.
Yeah.
Kerbal night.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we should do like a Kerbal night at some point. That would be fun. It's just we're so busy with everything else that's going on. SpaceX doesn't give us a break.
Yeah, no. Also, there a small reminder about our Discord, which is amazing. It has a KSP channel, and they're very, I would say, magic, but. Let's go with magic. There are very magic things happening there.
I'll tell you one thing we're going to do in our Discord. We've got a gaming channel. We're going to do a 5M server on GTA where we're going to start having like lots of people in the GTA server transporting a Falcon 9 booster all the way through Los Santos. We've got to protect it. Trust me, it's a brilliant idea. It's going to take forever to organise, but I am eagerly looking forward to that.
See, I would like to see, since we're talking about games, I would like to see a mod for American Truck Simulator.
Yes.
Where you
Oh,
could
yeah.
actually transport a Falcon 9 like from California in Hawthorne and pick it up at the plant and drag it all the way to McGregor for testing and then take it down to all the way to the Cape. I mean, I don't even know if they've gotten as far as Florida yet, but I would love to see a mod where you could pick up a Falcon 9 booster and haul it down the road in ATS. I would stream that. It would be hilarious.
Speaking of the booster, though, we're just watching to see, is that starting to swing a little bit? I'm going to do an A/B
Let me
test.
A/B.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's swinging.
It is. There we go.
The good old A/B test.
Not like me to notice something on stream. I'm too busy reading questions. Speaking of which, we've got Crazy Dave saying East Tennessee here. Thank you for your support. We've got a Mark Collis has joined the red team. So you'll get lots of preview clips and photographs and things like that. It's quite good, actually. We're improving our member area all the time. And I'll need to get on that thing. We'll do a graphic to show what different memberships gain what different privileges. But I will get on that as soon as I get more than 5 minutes to myself. Rough Riders shirt, a regular. Happy Valentine's Day to the whole team. Have we seen any signs of Launchpad B construction at Starbase? Do you think they'll wait till they get the FAA approval for building the second part? Covered that a little bit earlier. I do agree with that. I think they are waiting for that environmental assessment report, the FAA thing, the whole kind of the documentation to be signed, sealed, and delivered before they start thinking, well, let's build a second tower. Because in the unlikely event, I will say unlikely because I do think it is unlikely, everything falls apart and they have to basically just say, right, we're going to up sticks to KSC instead, then that'll be something where they don't build a second tower. Wayward Bert making an appearance live on the stream.
No, I actually switched over there because you can see the swing. Like, it's really obvious that they're not aligned right now, and there just happen to be a shrimp boat as well.
Yeah, sorry, my brain focused on the boat.
Yeah.
All I can think of is Tom Hanks now.
That's nice. That's what caught my eye, was that it was really obvious that the booster and ship were no longer aligned because it's been swinging out to the side on this camera. That just the silhouette view. This is the one we call it channel cam. It's across the camera over here, or across the channel over here. So,
is that Starhopper in the bot between the tower and the crane? Is that Starhopper?
Yes. From this perspective, I think that's Starhopper. Yeah.
So proud of her grandchildren.
Just sitting there with the shiny dome on top. Proud of the grandkids.
Speaking of Andy Hill, I want to say thank you to Padra, Rusty Shackelford, a regular as well, because Raptor 2 is officially at Starbase. That's a reason to celebrate, yes. Those photographs of Raptor 2 next to Raptor 1 at the presentation was a great idea by SpaceX to put them next to each other because we could see the improvements already been made. But of course, Elon has said they're going to take more things off Raptor 2, and we're talking about Raptor 3 maybe, and he does want a different engine going forward from that as well. There's going to be complete evolutions all the way. But I think Raptor 2 will be the workhorse of the test flights. And I say that because we do expect Booster 7, which is being prepared next, the next booster along, to be sporting Raptor 2 engines, and 33 of them. So that's something where I think Booster 4's ground testing will be very useful, has been very useful, and will continue to be very useful until they remove it. But the actual flight, I expect, will be with Booster 7. That's my assumption. Don't quote me on that. Don't say, NSF officially says. We don't know, because Elon didn't even answer the question at the presentation. That's very notable. He did not give an actual answer to. He wasn't really asked a question, to be fair. He was asked one question relating to it, but he didn't give an actual answer to when and what vehicles will be flying the orbital test, just in about 2 months, he said.
I love this view. At first we were like, oh, well, from this view, you're going to be able to see the ship. But I love it when the ship lines up exactly, and it looks like it's sort of in a cage. It has like Starship Enterprise being built on the ground sort of vibes, with the big dock around it, and it's got all this equipment and gantries holding it up and stuff. You don't really get it from the side angles, but when it looks like it's in that cage, it's like this is like a platform, a construction platform where they're putting together the Starship. Of course, that's not really how it works. They build it in the high bay behind this camera, but I had to jump in and say I love that angle really quickly. And it's
They're moving it fast.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I've got a question for you. Musical Wolves. How many Kerbals fit in a Starship?
Did you put them in a blender first, or are they still whole?
Oh my god.
You got to ask the questions here. Like, come on. Do you mean liquefied Kerbals, or do you mean like Kerbals that are still, in Kerbal shape?
Why would you liquefy the Kerbals?
Oh,
Some
oh,
more
I've
fit
done
in.
worse. I've done
All
worse
right.
at KSP.
Uh,
Kerbals are very stretchy the way their models are hung together, I guess you could
All,
say.
all I can now see is their terrified faces.
That's pretty normal, yes.
Yes, it is, yeah. Colin Collingwood asked a good question here. What do you guys think about doing an EVA from inside Dragon?
Ooh.
I mean,
We
will see it.
Yes, exactly. We're waiting for more details, but the one render with the official release showed the nose cone opening. And I assume they're going to have to find some kind of airlock system inside the tip of the nose cone to allow for this, because you could do the whole vehicle, depressurize it. Everyone's in an EVA suit.
Take 4
I think
suits,
that's,
yeah.
Yeah, that's the way they'll have to do it. But there's options because Crew Dragon is quite large. People talk about shuttle and it's such a large vehicle it could room around. It was actually quite small in the crew compartment. The mid-deck area was quite small. There wasn't a lot of volume mass there. It was mainly for the cargo bay. So, and then the EVAs came out of a very small airlock attached between the mid-deck and the cargo bay. So that's why the shuttle program did it on a standalone ship EVA. With Crew Dragon, I think it'd be more like the emergency scenario for maybe a Soyuz or something like that, where they could just depressurize the whole crew cabin and then the EVA out of the airlock that way. Outside the actual hatch, sorry, not an airlock, the actual hatch. I think they might go for the latter.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how they sort that out. I mean, in Kerbal, you just jump out the door and nobody cares about airlocks, but you do have to realize you have to think about how the crew is going to get to the outside of the ship in a ship that's not designed with the built-in airlock. I guess Shuttle really wasn't designed with an airlock, but they sort of installed the airlock at the aft or the forward part of the cargo bay, right?
That's right, yeah. It was just basically an addition to
Yeah.
the actual vehicle. They needed it because even on missions that didn't have an EVA programmed, that they had to have an emergency EVA option in case the cargo bay doors did not close before deorbit burn. Because if you did not close those cargo bay doors, you're not going to come back. So they had to have an EVA option there, and that was why it was installed.
Yeah. It's interesting. And they can't go, like Shuttle went backwards, I guess, towards the cargo area. Dragon has a cargo area, but you can't do that in Dragon because you have the heat shield in between.
Yeah.
Like you can't install a door in the bottom of the capsule that lets you get into the cargo area where you would install a pressurized or an airlock sort of thing. That's not an option because of the existence of the heat shield. I mean, I would guess.
Yeah, the only thing that threw me was the nose cone actually opened. You know, it was like a pre-docking kind of scenario, and I thought, well, why is it like that in the render? So, without giving away too many clues, Chris G is actually on the case and asking the crew themselves right now, I believe, in a teleconference. We'll find out some answers very shortly.
I'm going to move that camera over since the Starship is going to swing in this direction.
It is.
We know that the QD arm is out. We don't have to see the QD arm in the frame anymore. So.
What a weird sentence to say. This orbital class second stage is swinging over this way.
Yeah, it's just swinging over here. No big deal.
Yeah. If you took a screenshot of this and went back in a time machine, say 3 years, and said, oh, this was happening this day on February 14, 2022, you go, yeah, all right then. I think maybe, yeah, nice one. Some of the things we're seeing happening, I mean, I go back to the first revelation of the Chopsticks. We all thought that was a joke. Well, we didn't all think it was. I did, though. I thought it was a bit of a joke tweet from Elon, thinking, Chopsticks, Megazilla, what the heck is he talking about here? That doesn't make much sense. And it's reality. So when he comes up with something wacky in the future on Twitter, we can probably think that might become a reality within about 3 years' time. So that's the way to approach things with Elon these days. Let's just quickly go through this. Ollie Wood, red team, welcome, and Mali Maxim, your red team as well. Again, I read these things off, and my grumpy Yorkshire voice doesn't portray the gratitude that my brain is actually thinking, but trust me, we are extremely grateful for all the support we get. We would not be doing this without it at all. I can guarantee you that. Remy Turk, a regular in Starbase Live. Hopefully we won't see an empty pad after this crane-assisted launch. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. And I think Booster 4 has got some testing to do yet. Just with the methane arriving, I really do think something's going to happen with Booster 4. That's my spidey senses kicking in. No, but SpaceX never release a timeline of what's coming up. We have to guess a lot of time. But I think just the fact that they're taking Ship 20 off the stack does not mean it's the end of Booster 4 and Ship 20's roll at the pad.
I gotta completely agree with that. The big news yesterday was that we saw the first methane deliveries to the orbital tank farm annex. I'm going to guess that it's the annex, the horizontal tanks, not the vertical tanks, right? We saw those methane tankers rolling in. I know we've got a couple more today, and that has been a huge thing. We can't do static fires at the orbital launch site until we get that methane. And then today we saw the transport stand go over, and now we see ships 20 being removed from the top. I wonder if that's not in preparation for some more testing on Booster 4. You don't risk the ship. You take it back over to the other side of the site, and then you do the static fires on Booster 4 itself so you can see how the Raptors act, I guess. And then I really wonder, I think at some point we're going to see the ship back over here because I think they need to get data on what happens when they light the Raptors at the bottom of the booster to the ship that's on the top of the booster. Yeah. I think they need that data, and I bet you we're going to see it. But first tests, maybe you don't do it that way, and that's why we're seeing potentially why we're seeing the ship be destacked here. I think we may get some flames coming out the bottom of that booster, but I hope to see ship 20 back over here to get a full stack static fire, because I know they need that information. What do y'all think?
I agree with that because it also covers a question from Ally00 who asked about the arrival of the methane trucks the other day. So that covers that as well because we do think that is the forward plan. I really do. And we've got a related question. These are coming in order as well. It's almost like it's planned. It's not. Connor asks, has SpaceX spoken of any plans to produce their own propellant and whether they might produce their own power for that? Thanks for the stream, Well, thank you, Connor. We've seen the production of the propellant production plant, is it called, down at the production site, where they're aiming to produce their own propellant. So that's something we know they're aiming to do, rather than just sort of like rely on buying it in. So that is definitely something we've physically seen now. That's something they're going to do. I don't know how much they've produced. I don't know if they've produced any for the vehicles they've tested so far, but we know that large plant down near where the high bays and the wide bay and all those production site buildings are, not far from there, they're building and constructing their own propellant plant. Look at that site.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was just looking at it right now and just enjoying the view.
Yeah, I was answering that question. I got to the end of the question. I was like, that's a nice view.
Here, I'll take the ticker off real quick. So there's some screenshot material. How's that?
There we go.
Enjoy the wallpaper.
I'll tweet that.
Yeah,
out.
There you go.
That's my main role here at NSF. If you see a nice view, tweet it out.
I've asked if we can get a time lapse pulled from our video server as well. All of our cameras feed into a central video server, and we have an interface where people can actually go in and like our team members can go in and say start here, stop here, speed it up 100x, and kick me out of time lapse. You literally just check a couple boxes and put in a start and stop time, and choose the camera you want, and it'll kick out an automated time lapse for you. And Michael Baylor made that. It's the coolest thing. It makes it so easy to get time lapses. But I think shortly we may actually have a tweet out that shows the time lapse of what we've seen so far, and then of course the entire thing as well.
Nice. Credit to Michael for building that, because if I can use it, it shows it's very good. I'm technically a rubbish at things, and
it's very user-proof.
It is very user-proof. Yes, it is indeed.
It's just the weirdest. It looks like a toy Starship. Like it just looks like, oh, it's no big deal. It's not that big.
It looks like a toddler who's been naughty and he's been carried by his parents out of the supermarket for throwing a tantrum.
We're gonna have to go, Adrian.
I cannot get this picture out of my head, that meme picture that was shared everywhere of the Lion King with
yes,
Wendy Towers. Like, I cannot get it out of my head. It's stuck
like
there.
The Simba maneuver here, like.
Yeah, shout out!
Look at Starship.
Big shout out to SpaceX Master Race. If you want a fun picture or a fun render, it's in there.
I gotta say, all the people over there on the subreddit have made me pay a lot more attention to the subreddit, because half the ones that I see, I'm freaking cracking up over. There's some really clever. Clever doesn't really do it justice, but I think that's what's appropriate for me to say on this stream.
There's a few from related to our streams in there as well, and I was just reading through the comments, and someone goes, "I hate it when that Chris B makes references to Shuttle and Starship being like the next shuttle." See what it is? No, I'm not quite cautious to mention that again, but yeah, there we go. Anyway, fair point.
Let's put the ticker back on the bottom. Let's see here. Y'all, again, if you're just joining us, what you see is a very unlikely sight made real by Elon Musk and the SpaceX team down there. That is Starship S-20. It has been removed from the top of Booster 4 there at the orbital launch site, and we're pretty sure it's going down. I mean, hopefully they're not just swinging it back and forth. Earlier today, we saw the Ship 20 transport stand, that special structure that goes on top of the SPMTs that has the little quick disconnect arm so they can manage the GSE on the ship while they move it around. We saw that scoot over near the bottom of the tower, and so we're pretty sure this is going down to that transport stand now. And this is the first time in history this has been done. Just last week, we saw for the first time in history Starship picked up by the Chopsticks. The Chopsticks are those black crane structures sticking off the side of the tower. That was for the first time last week that actually picked up the Starship and put it on top of the booster. This right here, what you're witnessing right now, is the first time in history that the Starship, any Starship, has been picked up off the top of the booster and will be lowered back down again. Now, not the normal, I guess, direction that these things would go. I have a feeling that over the course of history, there will be very few times where the Starship needs to be taken off the top and put back down again. Because normally, yeah, the Starship is going to come off the top of the booster when it's launching on its way to orbit, when they separate the two. So
yeah,
this is...
now that... Yeah.
Go ahead, Adrian. Yeah.
That's a question we can answer, by the way. There's a question there from Jeff who asks, I'm going to bring it in because as we're talking about this, how does Starship attach the booster? Is the final design where they need to have workers up there at the join point, or will it be fully automated? Well, that'll be the separation system being designed, really, won't it? They'll be using the same system for attaching it as well.
Now that you mentioned that, Daz, that's a really cool fun fact about this. Like, the stacking might happen all the time, but the unstacking, this will be rare. And it's going down, by the way.
Lowering. Yep, it's lowering. Look at that.
Down we go.
Yeah, you can really see the difference here over on the south. The south camera. Look at this. It has, I guess, decleared the booster. I don't know. We're like, Starship's cleared the booster on the way up. Now it's uncleared the booster.
Yeah.
But it is on its way down.
You know what? This is roughly, we're getting to the point now where in reality, a returning, not just a booster, but a returning ship will be caught. The chopsticks will be up and it'll be closing around a landing burn of a ship right at this point, and then lowering it down slowly to take out some of the loads, but then to place it back down for recycling. If we did a time lapse of this as the lowering, which I'm sure we're going to do, we're going to probably be able to guess what it'd be like. That's why I always talk about the speed of the chopsticks. I think they can go faster because during the catch, they'll have to go faster.
Yep. Look at this. Remember when I talked about the pulleys? You can see the pulley there spinning as it lets out cable to lower the Starship.
Go, little wheel, go.
The wheels and the pulley go round and round.
Look in the middle of the tower as well. Further back to the right, you can see a pulley turning there as well. Sorry, Adrian, go ahead.
I just said little wheel, which is like, yeah, little in this context, but that wheel is still bigger than a human, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've seen people working around that, and that wheel is about 1 story tall. So if you were walking around in that little area up there, that's about like a house story, I guess you could say, like a story of a house or a building. And so that wheel is almost 1 story tall.
Yeah, you lose a sense of like size and when you look at these, because they're like, yeah, that small wheel, and then you remember, yeah, if you have like the top of the tower there, you almost have a house. At some point. Yep.
This is just a cool sight. I mean, I like seeing the little pulley there. I can't choose which camera, and I'm actually going to move these cameras shortly so that we pan down a little bit. I'll handle that, and I'm just switching back and forth between cameras here. If y'all want to see a different camera, just say it out loud, because I'm trying to decide when I'm going to tilt them down.
Going down fast.
While we're doing that, I'm going to quickly catch up with this list here. Ian Dowles, thank you for your support. T Canal, thank you as well. All the comment was thank you. Well, thank you back. Very much appreciated. Jim Cabot, thanks for another great stream. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's our pleasure, and thank you for your support. Musical Wolves, what are those 4 arms for? Is that the new thing now? 4 arms.
I only count 3. Where's the 4th?
I don't know. I think it's a 4 tower joke. We got, Ian Dowles, thank you for booking a pad rat. Very much appreciated. You can use your emojis in chat now, which is something of my pride. I'm gonna do it myself. Hang on, wait for it. Hey. See, there you go. Let me loose on here. They shouldn't. JV asks, did they evacuate the area and close the beach again for destacking? Thanks for all the great streams. So thank you. And yes, they did. Question for Daz, if he's not busy. Smooth Juice asks, hi guys, I wonder what sort of camera angles you're going to get for the first orbital test flight, and is anybody going out to Hawaii for the ship splashdown? Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Smooth Juice. Cameras for the orbital attempt. I believe we've got a lot of cameras right now, haven't we, Daz?
Oh yes, we have lots of cameras now for sure. We are going to figure it. I don't know. We've talked about sending a camera to Hawaii for the orbital attempt, but we have not decided exactly what we're going to do, because if we ask someone to do that, they miss the first orbital launch. Yeah. So that's sort of what we've discussed there. So
all I will say is I cannot wait, even just for a static fire test with the full engine set. We've got to appreciate that one Raptor, and there's one Raptor 2 in fact, is so much power. We saw the clip from Elon's presentation of the Raptor 2 test firing, a Serial 10 Raptor firing on a test stand at McGregor. The power from that one engine, it's got to be appreciated. It's a heck of a lot of power. It's an impressive engine. 33 of those things singing at the same time. That is going to be some amazing sight and some sound as well. I don't think we'll have any problems getting the sound of that launch.
I have a question for you both.
Yeah, go on.
Do you want to watch the orbital launch from Boca? Or would you rather watch it from home and have access to every camera angle?
Both.
Well, I could be at Boca and have every camera angle.
Thanks for both choosing both as the option.
Yeah. Honestly, there's nothing beats seeing it in person. You've got to appreciate the exclusion zones we'll have for that test flight for a start, but you will be at a distance where you're not going to miss it. 3 mile away from a shuttle, it was like it would set car alarms off in the car park behind where the press site was. The impressive amount of noise that comes from these things, and the brightness of the launches are not the same as what you see on webcasts. The brightness of launches is where it leaves a scar in your retina almost. Yep. It really just burned into you. It's an incredible thing to witness in person. If you get a chance to go to a rocket launch, any rocket launch, by all means snap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to say, I did this intentionally. This is like the most confusing framing with 2 cameras that I've ever seen. But it's the top of Starship on one side, and then Starship descending down into the view on the other side. Of course, it looks like this when you can see the entire thing, but I wanted one where it sort of showed the Starship descending down into the frame, and then I'm going to pull that other one back as soon as Starship goes off the bottom, because I'm a huge fan of seeing that in time-lapse. Like, it's cool when you have the wider shot, and it's like, oh, it picks it up, it goes down, great. All right, that's fine. I got that on South, which is what we're looking right now. But I am also a huge fan of, okay, and then it goes out of frame. Like, it drops off the frame, or it comes in from the top of the frame or something like that. So I know maybe Michael is screaming at me because I'm panning the cameras in directions that he thinks should be tilting. But I thought that was an interesting way to sort of capture this event.
Yes, we don't poke the Michael. not when it comes to camera angles. Again, I'm going to stress this again. We expected the stack to take multiple hours. It was a guess. We didn't know how long it would take, but we assumed it would because it's a first-time operation. We knew destacking would take less time because they've now got it in the bag as far as what their techniques will be and how the chopsticks perform. Because this is a very complex system. I go back to Elon's presentation every time, because when you quote Elon himself, then it's fine because we know it's true because it's Elon. He mentioned that the stage 0, the whole of this complex, the ground support equipment I like to call it, is as complex as booster and ship. So when it works, as it's working now, these chopsticks are working, and the whole system is working. It's an achievement. I know a lot of people are a bit upset that destacking because they enjoyed the views of the full stack, and I agree. It was an amazing sight. We got a lot of views and photographs of it, so that's great. But the fact that this stacking and destacking process is working to plan is a milestone. Let's not be coy about it. It actually is a milestone for SpaceX. So I'm happy about this in that term. They're achieving things. They've not had a drop of a ship, which has been disastrous. They've not had it stuck half up the tower and had engineers up there welding things thinking it's been stuck.
Yep.
It's working.
I had to do this for the memes real quick because the nose cone is just barely visible down on the bottom. And I told everybody, nobody touch this camera until it goes off the bottom, and then I'll reframe it.
It's like a Titanic scene right now where Starship
It's
slowly
sinking down on the frame. I don't think Starship would fit on the door. So, anyways, God, what a sight to see, though. Look at this.
Yeah.
Don't mind me just dropping my Starship here.
Again, it's just the size you've got to get into reality here. This is a huge vehicle. This is the full stack is the largest rocket ever assembled in humanity. We've got to. I mean, when I said out loud, it sounds like, "Well, are you sure?" But yes, it is. It really is. And we're seeing this ship, which is by no means small, being carefully lowered by some chopsticks, some huge chopsticks on the side of a tower. It's surreal. I use a time machine analogy a lot, but if you went back 5 years and said this would be happening in 5 years' time, you wouldn't believe yourself. It really is something where we're seeing things for the first time.
And they built this in a year. Like the whole tower chopstick system. They built this basically in a year, right?
Yeah, Mobile Launcher 1 for SLS. I hate to sound like I'm digging at SLS. I'm not. It's just the way NASA and contractors work. It's nothing unusual that it's taken years and years and years and $1 billion to build a launch tower for SLS, converted from Ares 1. And Mobile Launcher 2 is having trouble already before I even start building it. So, and they're building Mobile Launcher 2 because SLS Block 1B is slightly taller. The EUS, the Exploration Upper Stage, makes the vehicle longer. So they need to redo a complete new tower rather than modifying Mobile Launcher 1 because it'd take 2.5 years. It's very much a NASA way of doing things. Again, you'll never hear anything anti-NASA or anti-SLS from me because all rockets are cool as far as I'm concerned. It's just incredible to see the difference in her approach where SpaceX can build this tower, complex tower, as complex as booster and ship, in a year, whereas Mobile Launcher 1 for SLS, converted from Ares, is now 10 years old, even longer, and $1 billion.
So here, I've reframed the camera. You're welcome. I think this is a really cool angle, but look at this. I know a lot of the times we don't really love the atmospheric turbulence because you got the heat there rising off the road and it causes it to be a little wavy. It's atmospheric turbulence. I am okay with it here because it almost looks a little surreal. It looks like a painting or not even a rendering. The renderings are sometimes too sharp, but it looks like a watercolor almost. And it's this huge shiny starship with these black heat tiles on one side of it, and it's like at this perfect angle. It's not like straight on the top. It's not straight on the side. You get the depth with the fins, but the whole thing sort of looks like art here. It's engineering art, I think you could say. The fact that the chopsticks are doing what they're doing, the entire tower working as intended, and what it's actually lifting up and down, this whole thing is just engineering art. Y'all think so?
Yeah, I feel like it would. I feel like it wouldn't look that much more real if you don't have the type of turbulence because then it's still a giant tower. Putting down orbital second stage or orbital ready second stage, and yeah, I love the views, and I also love the beach camera here on the left because it looks so cool. It's just a great angle and so cool to see this thing with the full heat shield as well. Like the whole black side, it looks so cool.
It's so crazy because from one angle it's like all heat shield and it just looks like Starship is just like painted with Venta black and it's just a black outline. The other end you get like the shiny side of it and the sunlight is glinting off the blue sky and stuff like that reflecting off the side of the Starship, and then you get the angle like from the right hand camera here and it's sort of a little bit of both. I'm just so happy that we can look at it so many different ways and capture what's going on.
Meaningless asks, I need a Daily Hopper comic with the mother Hopper operating the controls for Mikazilla's lifting a tantrum, throwing Ship 20 off booster or supermarket. Oh, the supermarket rides where the kids throw tantrums.
The supermarket ride. I don't want to get off. I don't want to get off. 5 more minutes.
thanks to the Daily Hopper, I have this headcanon for me now that Hopper is running all of the operations at the launch site. Like he's for sure the boss there. That's just my canon.
I've just put Daily Hopper's Twitter account into chat because if you don't follow him, please do. He is brilliant at doing his cartoons. It reminds me of a Florida Today cartoonist who used to do shuttles in living rooms, complaining, writing letters to senators about not getting enough flights and stuff like that. It's the latest version of that. He really has got that kind of like turn right, brilliantly funny. Oh, Mark Gaultier asks, "Hi Chris, just moved to outside of York from the USA. Let's catch a beer and discuss shuttle." By all means, I'm Eworth, if you can, if you want to catch up in here part of York. But yeah, definitely send me a DM on Twitter. By all means, I have open DMs, much to my astonishment, because 99% of them are spam. But I do go through the spam and find the actual questions. Oh, James Jury, another one for Daz. Imagine if we had all these camera angles during the days of SM5 and SN6.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, nice. Jinx.
Chris Ingle asks, booster lift with Zilla next. That's what we were discussing earlier. We don't think, again, we're guessing, we don't think the next action will be to release Booster 4 from the orbital launch mount. We think they're going to do some testing.
I bet it's going to stay up there.
Yeah, just the clues we've had. I mean, one thing is why they've delivered methane. I think there's a potential to do another cryo Booster 4 maybe from the orbital launch site test tank area, and then maybe a cryo, maybe a static fire even. We don't know, but we'll look forward to that. But I don't think they're going to release Booster 4 from the orbital launch mount next. I don't think that's going to come up anytime soon.
Oh my god, I love this, what just came in the chat by Mikey Mike, that there's just one button on somewhere in the control panel that just says destack ship, and somebody on their lunch break was like, what does this button do? And
leaned on it.
Yeah.
I think,
Really?
I think we're safe. I've just realised Elon has liked our live stream on Twitter.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
Yeah, it's not like he's replied, "That's not right. Something's gone wrong. I need to
What?
I need to make some phone calls."
No,
What
put it
do
back
you
up.
mean
Put it
it's
back up.
destacking?
It starts going up again. Hey, really quickly, a VecMaster60 over on my Twitch channel, 80 months. Thank you,
Wow.
VecMaster60, for supporting me over on Twitch for 80 months. We got Avenger 1735 with 76 months over there. These are some of the OGs from my Twitch streams. Like when I was playing Kerbal, these people probably have thousands of hours watching me play things back and forth in Kerbal. Sherman 120 was 84 months.
Wow.
I didn't even know I had that many months in there. 84
Horrible feeling.
months.
I've got a horrible feeling some people in your Twitch followings for that amount of time might be a little bit angry with NSF using up all your time, so you don't get to do what you normally did. I assume you do get time to still do KSB streams and what have you now and again.
Nope.
Oh dear.
Definitely don't.
So I
mean,
think
if
we
you-
should, as soon as Twitch is listening to us, I think we should make time to allow that to happen in the near future. And we can all watch. We can link it in the YouTube channel and say, everyone go to Daz's Twitch channel and we'll watch him. We'll all join in. I think we should do that in the near future. Let's make that a plan.
One of my longtime viewers, Banana Dodo, says, yes, give DOS back, NSF.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I dare go in there now. I might think, I might go, hi guys, and they'll go, it's him. He's the one responsible for taking Daz away
That
from us.
guy. That's the guy who stole DOS. And there are people doing some gifted subs and stuff like that over there. Just a lot of people doing subs. I will say one last time, thank you for everybody on Twitch. I was not a streamer. I wasn't a live video person. I didn't do any of that until I started my Kerbal streams on Twitch. And everything that we have used to create the NSF streams are things that I learned in 6 years on Twitch, where all the Twitch folks were supporting me and helping me pay the bills and watching me play Kerbal every day, and just everything that I did. We streamed from the beaches of Normandy with backpacks that, like, Gen 4 of those packs are now used here at Starbase. We had remote operated cameras on my Bluebird streams, and all of that stuff is built in on how we run our cameras here. Like, everything that I learned on Twitch with the fantastic folks over there, all the viewers who supported me for the longest time, is why we know how to do what we do. Because the Twitch viewers supported me while I learned all of this stuff. I wasn't taught any of this stuff. I learned it all from scratch. So thank you, Twitch. Thanks for hanging in there with me and supporting me so we can get to where we are.
There we go. Trust
Yeah.
me, I can identify with that. People with the NSF site. I started
Yep.
that site in 2005. If it hadn't been the support back then, we'd never have got the site to past 2006. Trust me, it was that tight with the amount of things it was costing already because it just grew in short order.
Yep. Is there a
And
picture of you leaning next to a server with like a bankrupt sign?
Yeah, trust
Like-
me. There could be some cartoons of servers basically just in my bank account just ripping it out. It really was tough in the early days, but thanks to that support, we got further and further, and then we got this channel and so on and so on. So it's all progression. It'd be nice to see where we are in 5 years' time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions relating to the Jared flight coming up with the Polaris mission. I'll ask both questions at the same time. First one is a statement. Michael Sheets, MSNBC, has said that the whole crew will be exposed to vacuum of space during the EVA. So that answers that question.
Okay,
So
there you go.
for passing it on. Yeah. Judon Morganson, I can't pronounce your name. Sorry, I'm terrible at pronunciations. Any thoughts about Jared from Inspiration 4 and the 2 flights on Starship he's booked? Well, I think he's booked 2 flights on Crew Dragon, isn't it? And then 1 flight on Starship. I think that's the reason. I might have mistaken that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But it was 3 flights in total, I do believe. And potentially for more.
It sounds like he booked the. Is this the right way to say it? Like, was there any words to mince here? He booked the first crewed Starship launch.
Yes.
Is that the way they're billing it? Like, when there are crew on a Starship for the first time, it will be Jared and it'll be the 2 SpaceX folks and the astronaut, right?
Just in chat is green. It's 2 Dragon flights and then 1 Starship flight, which makes sense because the timeline will. Let's remember, Elon has said numerous times that he wants, and he correctly said it, he wants to fly Starship uncrewed numerous times before he puts a crew on it. And that is correct. You do not want to go too soon with crew. You want to get the vehicle safely in a cadence where it's achieving successes, just like the Falcon 9 boosters, the landing. It comes after time because initially it wasn't. You will have excitement guaranteed to start with, as he likes to say, before they get it refined to the point that they can safely say this vehicle is now operational and then safely put crew on it.
And that's a good point as well. The crew for the first Polaris 1 launch was revealed today, but the crew for the first Starship launch may not necessarily be that exact same crew. I mean, it's a long way before there's going to be human beings on Starship going to space. So who knows what's going to happen there. Go ahead.
I mean, with the size of Starship, you could even have every other crew member that was present on previous mission be on that mission.
That is true.
Big reunion.
Could you imagine like only 4 people on board Starship for the first orbital flight? I mean, I guess it makes sense to only carry a bare bones crew. You don't want 100 people on board for the first crewed test demonstration, whatever you want to call it, flight. But 4 people jumping around inside an entire Starship.
Yeah.
It'd be like, here's the command bridge, and then we have a basketball court for y'all to play basketball on.
They could do that. It'd be like that movie with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. I forgot the name.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
movie.
Passengers.
That's it, yeah. It'd be like that. Hey, one last one before we've got one last question before we throw this probably to Starbase Live. Rough Rider showed a regular. If it wasn't for Daz inspiring me, I would not have a camera pointing at birds either. Thanks for all the years of support, Daz.
Good deal, Rough Riders. Yeah, that's really cool. Y'all, I think that is going to be our plan here, though. They've gotten very close to the ground. They're sort of hovering there. I imagine there's alignment happening. They've got that transport stand going straight down to the transport stand. You can actually see some things that look like they may be closing the gap there a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and let Starbase Live do the rest of this. We have our 24/7 stream, multiple cameras. We've actually had to go to a 4x4 box lately because we have so many cameras deployed out there. All the different angles, operators standing by all day long. We're going to be continuing the coverage over on Starbase Live. So you don't have to go anywhere. All that means is we're going to shut down this commentary stream, and if you're on YouTube, you can click over to the Starbase Live link. It may just recommend it as the next video. Mods, let's see if we can't get that Starbase Live link into chat. But that is our 24/7 stream with all our cameras going every single day. What's happening at Starbase gets captured on Starbase Live. So make sure you bookmark it and come back on days when you think it's going to be slow. Chris Bergen, Adrian Beal, thank you so much for joining me here for the commentary on the first ever destacking. That was awesome, Chris.
My pleasure.
All right, Adrian, you too. Thank you as well.
Thank you a lot for having me, and yeah, see you at Starbase Live.
Okay, folks, my name is John Galloway for NASA Spaceflight, and we will see you over on Starbase Live. Thanks for watching, nerds.